All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a really big question in the world of AI.
I mean, how do you really know if that AI you spent months building is actually smart? Or if it's just, a really good guesser? Maybe it's just getting lucky. Or even worse, it's just memorized the answers to the test. It's a huge question. And believe me, getting it wrong can cause some serious problems.
Well, the answer, the thing that separates the real deal from the fakers, is a rigorous and super important process called model evaluation. This is how we figure out what's truly brilliant and what's just been rehearsed.
And honestly, the best way to think about it is like this. It's basically an AI report card.
So what is it really? Simply put, model evaluation is just the process of figuring out how well your machine learning model is doing its job. We're asking, is it accurate? Is it reliable? And, the big one, is it actually ready for the real world and helping us do what we need it to do?
So why all the fuss? Look, this report part isn't just a nice to have. It's absolutely critical. It's how you confirm the model can generalize, that it can handle new stuff it's never seen before. It's how you pick the best model when you've got a few options on the table. And maybe most importantly, it's what gives leaders the confidence to actually use the model to make real decisions. But here's the thing. Getting this report card right, it's tricky. Because sometimes a model that looks like a straight A student on paper can completely bomb the final exam in the real world.
And this quote just nails it, right? We've all seen it. The student who aces every single practice test because they've just memorized the answers. But then the actual exam comes, the questions are slightly different, and they fail. An AI model that can't generalize is exactly like that student. It's a recipe for disaster.
Actually, there are some really common traps people fall into. Let's call them the deadly sins of model evaluation, because they can seriously derail your project. Let's walk through some of the big ones.
Okay, first up, challenge number 1. It's a classic for a reason, overfitting.
So what is overfitting? It's when your model doesn't really learn. It just memorizes the answers to the test, the training data. It'll crush any question it's seen before, but throw it a curveball, something new, and it's totally lost. What we want is the opposite, generalization. That's a model that actually learned the subject so it can apply that knowledge to totally new, real-world situations.
All right, on to challenge number 2, data shift. This one's sneaky. It's what happens when the world changes. Your model was trained on yesterday's data, but it has to work in today's world.
Yeah, this is such a perfect analogy. You train your AI to be an expert on cars from the 90s. It's brilliant at it, but then you release it into a world full of electric vehicles from 2025, it's going to be pretty confused, right? The world doesn't stand still, so your model's knowledge can get stale fast.
Okay, deadly sin number 3. This is a big one. It's when you focus on a single metric that looks great, but is actually hiding a huge problem. It's a classic case of misleading metrics.
And wow, this example from medical diagnosis, it's chilling. You've got a model that boasts 99% accuracy. That sounds amazing. But hang on. What if the disease you're screening for only shows up in 1% of people? The model can just say, nope, you're healthy to everyone and still be 99% accurate. But the result? It finds zero of the patients who are actually sick. The metric looks fantastic, but the model is a complete failure, a dangerous one.
And for our last major challenge, we're talking about something critically important, bias and fairness.
This is so true. An AI is like a student. If you give it biased textbooks to study from, it's going to learn and repeat those biases. It's not malicious, it's just learning from the data it's given. And worse, it can actually amplify the unfairness it finds in that data, leading to some really harmful outcomes. Okay, so we've talked about all these scary pitfalls: overfitting, data shift, bias. It can feel a bit overwhelming. But don't worry, there is a smarter way to grade our AI.
So how do we do it? Well, you need a smarter report card. It's not about one single grade. You have to look at multiple metrics, things like precision and recall, to get the whole story. You use special techniques to fight overfitting, to stop that memorization. You have to continuously monitor your model out in the wild to catch that data shift. And you absolutely have to use tools to check for fairness and understand why your model is making the decisions it's making.
Now, you might be thinking, that sounds like a lot of work. And you're right. Managing all of this is complex. That's where platforms designed for this come into play. They act like an ultimate teaching assistant for your AI. Let's take a look at an example.
So, a platform like Vertex AI from Google, for instance, is built to make this whole process way simpler. It helps you manage the entire machine learning lifecycle from start to finish. Think of it as that super smart teaching assistant that makes sure you're grading your models the right way.
And this is a really helpful way to see where tools like this fit in. Organizations usually go through these MLOps maturity levels. You start at level 0, where everything is manual, like building something by hand. Then you get to level 1, with some automation, like a small workshop, but the goal is level 2, a fully automated CI/CD pipeline, like a slick, modern assembly line. And that's where a platform like Vertex AI really helps you get to.
And look how it breaks down the process. It's a clear workflow. You train your model, you give it a test, you pull out the answer key. That's your ground truth. Then you start the evaluation, comparing its answers to the key. You analyze the grades, see where it went wrong, and then you iterate and improve. It's a constant loop of getting better.
So, what does this all boil down to? It means a platform like this gives you the tools to tackle those deadly sins we talked about head-on. You can evaluate constantly on massive data sets. You can see clear graphs to compare which model version is better. You can specifically check for bias by looking at how it performs on different groups of people, say by age or location. And you can even create a feedback loop that automatically tells a model to retrain when its performance starts to dip. It's all about keeping your AI sharp and fair.
So this really leaves us with one big question to think about. We know our AI is getting a report card, one way or another. But are we asking the right questions on that report card? Are we making sure it's not just smart, but also fair, responsible, and actually ready for the real world? That's the challenge for all of us.